Good evening, everyone, and welcome to another episode of A Closer Look, the show dedicated to bringing you the facts. We ask the questions no one else will, and we get the answers that no one else can. I'm Arabina Apia. Thanks so much for joining us. Well, we've made it. It's officially that time of year, and no, I'm not talking about Thanksgiving or Christmas. It's officially the time of year when we get to celebrate our young people. If you weren't aware, October was National Youth Month, and this year the Division of Youth went all out as per usual, with the month culminating with the 2023 National Youth Awards ceremony. Now, I had the pleasure of being in the room to hear the incredible stories of hard work and dedication and triumph. And so this is the part of the episode where I tell you that all is not lost for our young people. It's the time of year and the moment in this episode when I say scores of young Bahamians are readying themselves for leadership. They're excelling in their studies. They're making significant contributions to their respective communities and career paths. But quite frankly, you already know that, don't you? I bet if you thought hard enough, you could come up with an entire list of exceptional young people in your very own circle of influence, whether that's in your office, at your church, or in the classroom, and just about anywhere else that young people exist and take up space. But it's not just about acknowledging their existence or their excellence, is it? Well, it shouldn't be. So that said, my question to you now is, what are you doing to support these incredible young men and women? How have you stood in the gap on their behalf? Are you working actively to remove the roadblocks to their success? What opportunities are you creating to ensure that they can soar even higher? How are you championing these future leaders? Tonight, we're not only acknowledging the greatness of the young people around us, but we're sitting down with some of the people tasked with creating policies that empower the new generation as well. Stay tuned because A Closer Look begins right after this.
I was nominated as one of the top 3 for the Youth Ali Award, and I'm just excited. The journey was one that I would never forget. It is one that, it was just so exhilarating, when you think about it, with all my colleagues and of course all the national awardees. So it was like something that one can't really explain, but you just go through it. And of course it keeps us, feeling rejuvenated so that we can come back and do a great work. But the journey was one that I would never forget. So I want to express a gratitude to the Ministry of Youth, Sports and Culture.
Welcome back. You're watching A Closer Look. I'm Arabina Apia. Thanks so much for joining us. Excellence was certainly the standard set at the 2023 National Youth Awards this year. Family and friends of the country's top young nominees turned out at the University of the Bahamas' Performing Arts Center in late October to be a part of the event. ACL correspondent Marcos Ambrister was in the room and has all the details. Marcos?
It was Amber Turner, an environmentalist and sustainability advocate, that walked away with the Division of Youth's top award, the Prime Minister's Cup, at this year's National Youth Awards. The ceremony was held at the University of the Bahamas' Performing Arts Center under the theme, Yes, Youth, Excellence is the Standard, coordinated by the Ministry of Youth, Sports and Culture. We caught up with Director of the Division of Youth, Sandina Neely, who dubbed the night a tremendous success.
We have a team of absolute professionals who ensure that all that you saw tonight is executed with precision, excellence, and everything. So we want to give huge shout outs to our Youth Award Program Coordinator, Ms. Shanda Roberts, and her team, and everyone else in the Division of Youth.
Scores of talented young Bahamians were present at the evening's event, with more than 40 nominees representing over 14 categories, including leadership, the environment, arts and culture, and so much more. Turner said her goal is to raise awareness about the impact of climate change on the Bahamas and the world.
Climate change is a really big issue, and I'm just really happy to be within this space and to be honored with other individuals that are doing amazing work. And you know, the climate change impact on the Bahamas is so big, and just to bring light and to shed light, whether that's in the fields of water resources or sustainable agriculture or just climate change in general and climate change action, is just very important to me.
Rounding out the nation's top awards were Kentario McKinsey and Pryden Wilson, who took home the Minister's Cup and Director's Cup, respectively. Also receiving one of the night's major awards was Tourism and Hospitality Educator and Mentor Felicia Burrows, who was awarded the highly coveted Youth in Leadership Award. Among the evening's youngest recipients was Grace Cooper, who took home the award for Rising Star in Leadership. For Henri Todd, winning the Rising Star Personal Triumph Award was most fitting. Todd, who battles a speech impediment, has not allowed it to hold him back. And the Division of Youth at the Ministry of Youth, Sports and Culture is already looking forward to next year's show.
Of course, every year we want to do it bigger and better. So we want even more nominees. We want you to pull out all the stops. We want you to showcase yourselves so that we can highlight you and celebrate you among our nation's best.
Thanks so much, Marcos. A night of excellence indeed. Stay with us. There's more A Closer Look right after the break.
Hi, my name is Tyler Ramming, and I was nominated for the Youth in Religion and Youth in Leadership Award. I initially thought it was just Youth in Religion, but when I went to the meeting and realized I was in Youth in Religion and Youth in Leadership, it was a bit of a shock. But I've been very grateful to be mentored by a lot of great youth leaders within my church and within my field. And so to be here on a national stage as a product of that, like the people who've come before me, is a great feeling.
Welcome back. You're watching A Closer Look. I'm Arabina Apia. Thanks so much for being here. Over the past several weeks, the Davis administration has prioritized a number of youth-focused initiatives aimed at giving young leaders a greater voice and training as it relates to governmental functions. One such initiative was the recently reintroduced Local Government Junior Council. ACL correspondent Catherine Duncombe tells us more in this report. Catherine?
Efforts to amplify the voices of our nation's young people have taken priority for this administration, starting with the relaunch of the Local Government Junior Council. Unit Head for the Local Government Junior Council program, Christian Palacios, says the initiative is geared toward molding the future leaders of the nation. In an interview with A Closer Look, she explains how the program has empowered so many young people to make a real change in their schools and communities at large. As part of the program, each junior council receives $4,000 to complete a community and school project.
We saw a need to create a program that would allow young people to be exposed as to what local government is about, and hopefully encouraging them to be a part of it once they were eligible to do so. So we're creating future leaders, and that is our goal. I can assure you that we have some members of parliament, possibly even prime ministers in this group of students that we have here today.
More than 6,000 student participants from 39 schools across the country registered for the initiative, which emulates the local government process from elections to the post-election phase and educates young individuals on the intricacies of our government system. Now, while local government does not officially exist on the island of New Providence, students from the Anatole Rogers High School joined the ranks as the pilot school for this island. Anatole Rogers principal Andrew Dean says he is thrilled that his students are being equipped with the knowledge, skills, and ethics in decision-making to make a positive impact in society.
It helps them to make decisions, help them to be a little bit more decisive. If they want to be a lawyer or whatever the case may be, it gives them some time to do some research, because some of these projects that they want to do, they may have to go in and dig into it and see, hey, how are we going to get this done? How much money do we need? what's the manpower we need. So it gives them that kind of experience.
During a visit to the school's campus, our team caught up with Akil Williams, who was elected as the school's chief counselor. He says he is happy to be a voice for the students, especially as he is in his last year of high school.
It feels astonishing. It feels great that I could get to make a change in my school and do something for my graduating class.
Joining Williams in a leadership role is Jediah Ferguson, who was voted deputy chief counselor. Ferguson beat out scores of her male counterparts to secure the position and says she is proud to be one of the few female counselors serving on her school's council.
I feel empowered and accomplished, and some of the responsibility is just being a voice for other students.
For council member Kiona Higgs, bullying is one of the major issues that she hopes to address during her term.
Junior council could work together with the administrators to help the students get together and fix some of the problems in the school.
Reporting for A Closer Look, I'm Catherine Duncombe.
Stay with us. We'll be back with more of A Closer Look in just a moment.
I was nominated for Youth in Leadership and also Youth in Governance. Last year I was one of the finalists for the award, and then this year when I was nominated again, I felt appreciated, knowing that the work that we do and the work that I was doing, was being recognized. Whether I won or not, it was just good to be recognized and be able to be nominated for the award again. I absolutely love leadership. I love being a leader to others. I am a part of many different organizations within the Bahamas.
Welcome back. I'm Arabina Apia, and this is A Closer Look. Thanks so much for tuning in. Now, while school-aged students throughout the country were participating in the local government processes, another batch of talented young people were taking advantage of yet another initiative. ACL correspondent Janae Winter takes a closer look in this report. Janae?
Youth Empowerment wrapped another session on October 27th, giving young Bahamians a platform to voice a plethora of issues affecting them. With in-person mentorship provided by sitting MPs, participants are prepared for 2 sessions of debate in both the upper and lower houses. That's Shante Deal, youth policy advocate and first-time contributor for the government in the Youth in the Senate. Deal's mission is clear. Youth must be involved in matters affecting them.
Well, I feel a major issue that is affecting youth in the Bahamas is the scarcity in youth involvement in the different policy makings or different procedures that happen within our nation. I feel as though the youth are here, but we are not present.
Fast forward to 2023, and this administration is focused on the introduction of a National Youth Commission to help spearhead youth and policy initiatives and create mentorship opportunities. This is something Deal took note of.
I am a strong believer that in order for youth to blossom into nation builders, into actually having a great impact in society, they have to have someone with them who can mentor them throughout all that they hope to do.
We are the future of this generation.
For Dominic Stubbs, another first-time youth parliamentarian, the opportunity to lend his voice to critical issues such as youth unemployment and education was extremely important.
We discussed how with the national youth policy, we can improve education. We also spoke about unemployment and how food security and the different initiatives that came through hydroponic research can also benefit the unemployment sector, especially within youths.
Youth empowerment is not only a necessary platform, but serves as a catalyst in shaping the future leaders of our nation. For A Closer Look, I'm Janae Winter.
Stay tuned. We'll be back with more of A Closer Look in just a moment, and when we return, we're talking all things youth policy and the way forward.
Spring has sprung at Grand Bahama's happiest hotel. The Pelican Bay Resort is the perfect place to unwind and relax with family and friends. come and check out our amazing views and our friendly staff, because there's no place better than Grand Bahama's happiest hotel.
Welcome back. I'm Arabina Apia, and you're watching A Closer Look. Thanks so much for joining us. Joining me now are a duo of guests who have made the success of young people in this country a priority. Tonight, we're taking a closer look at their work and the policy initiatives being implemented to give all young people the opportunity to soar. Please welcome to the show Santina Neely, who is the head of the Division of Youth, and Rashad Ritchie, who is the Assistant Director of Youth. Welcome to the show, guys.
Thank you.
Thank you. So we're talking all things youth policy because I think, we talk a lot about the work that young people are doing, how much they're excelling. And I think that's something that everyone knows. But I want to talk to you about the work that you do in creating the policy that impacts young people's ability to really, go to the next level in their lives, in their careers, in their fields of study. So Director Neely, let's start with you. How are you feeling about the policy initiatives that are currently underway? And can you speak to any specific ones that you are most excited about?
Yes, so we are always excited when it's time to talk about national youth policy. It's something that's been around for more than 3 decades. We have a draft national youth policy that was first entered into the House of Assembly back in 2014.
Wow.
And so our task now is to get it over the finish line. And that's something that we're very, very excited about. You would hear the initiatives of bringing in a youth commission. And so that's something that we're feverishly working on and we're very, very excited about. This is the commission that will be led by young people and create an enabling environment for young people to thrive in.
2014 is a long time. So, what have been some of the challenges? What has been the holdup really? Because I know that youth are a priority. So what has taken so long for this policy initiative to get underway?
Right. So there are a couple things that can account for the length of time this has taken. The policy has now expired, and so there is a revision process that's happening. And so we want to bring the policy up to date. So at the time when it was drafted, back between 2012 and 2013, there were different focuses. And so now we have to add in things like climate change, mental health, digital technology, disabilities. And so there are so many different things that we need to look at in order to bring the policy up to date.
Well, Rashad, I want to rope you in because the director did talk about things like mental health. I know that has been a major focus, specifically because young people are going through a lot. And I think as adults, it's sometimes not necessarily taken into consideration the impact that the things in the world are really having on young people. Can you speak to why something like that is so important?
Well, what I would say is, culturally, we really have this sort of taboo on mental health. It's sort of looked down upon, or you kind of look less than if you are going through a mental challenge or a mental struggle. And so what the policy seeks to do is, first of all, assess that, and then, of course, eventually address that. So we need to see what are some of the challenges that young people are facing that affect their mental health, and then what are some of the initiatives or interventions that we can bring about in order to address that.
In a perfect world, what does that look like? Like, what do these strategies, specifically around mental health, what do they look like? And, what considerations are being given to make them as accessible and easily accessible to young people as possible?
I'm so glad you said in a perfect world. So dream with me.
Yes.
So in a perfect world, what that looks like is young people having access to mental health professionals on demand. If it comes to that, if they feel the need for that, them having access to resources that they can reach. Our family island young people having access to resources. Our youth who are disabled having access to resources. Even young people who live abroad having access to resources. And in some ways they have that now, but we want to popularize it. And like Rashad said, we want to remove the stigma. So in a perfect world, we would not have stigma. And young people would be able to openly and freely communicate what's happening with them and get the help and the resources that they need. And also having more young people join the mental health profession. That would be a very, very welcome sight so that their peers are able to assist them. Having mental health days at school, having mental health days in universities and colleges and that kind of thing. And so removing all of the stigma, all of the taboo, and having some real actionable steps that young people can follow.
You also mentioned the inclusion in the new draft policy, the inclusion of considerations for the digital and technology age. How does the new policy support and harness the potential of technology? Because we know no one knows technology like young people, right? So how are we using the power of technology, the access that young people currently have to different technologies? How are we using technology to support the work that you guys are doing now and into the future?
Right. So first, even just in addressing the gaps, that's something that we're able to use technology in order to be able to identify. We're able to look at policies all over the world through technology, and we're able to even poll young people right here in the country and to gather them in social settings online using digital technology in order to start those conversations with them and see where they're at. And so we've been able to use so many different means and so many different strategies to be able to get the information from young people so that it can remain as timely as possible.
In our conversations with both of you before, you both have talked about the work that young people are doing in their respective communities, their advocacy, their work with climate change, their work to help each other, to be peer mentors, all of this stuff that's happening. What position is, the draft policy going to take on making avenues even more available for young people to not only take advantage of the things that are happening, but also contribute to those things as well? Rishad?
Well, to chime in on that, I would say that the draft policy, once implemented, really will create what we call an enabling environment for young people. And so that means we would have some of the facilities available for young persons to come to the Division of Youth, to partner with the Division of Youth in order to implement some of their strategies and objectives and programs. What the National Youth Policy does is it creates a ideology or an idea, or it creates a goal and vision for what we want for youth work and the youth sector in the Bahamas. Once we get that passed and we advocate for persons to get on board with this National Youth Policy, what you would see is youth organizations and young people getting on board and getting in line with the direction that we're trying to take for youth work. And so persons who are in the environment, persons who are in technology, persons who are in education, persons who are in finance, they will be able to look at the policy because it really is a comprehensive document, and they will be able to identify some of the strategies that we're trying to implement, and they would be able to get on board as partners. One of the things that we added in the National Youth Policy is partnerships for achieving the National Youth Policy goals.
I love that you guys are talking about the partnership, and I imagine some of those partnerships already exist. So what has the support been like from your partners, from the general public, as you navigate, the improvements to the draft policy and the eventual release of that draft policy, like the director said, to take it over the edge?
So our partners include young people, of course. Our partners also include the professionals in the youth work sector, youth organizations, youth leaders, youth advocates, and they are all over the moon excited about the additions that have been made to the policy, and they want to see the policy pass. They want to see the Youth Commission. They want to see the Institute for Youth Development, where they can get data and, because that's an actual research arm. They want to see the Bahamas National Youth Council re-engineered, and they're excited about the Endowment Trust Fund, where they will be able to access funding, grant funding, and all of that.
What about things like gender equality? Are there any indicators in the draft policy that address issues related to gender inequalities, or how we are dealing with young women versus young men? Is that something that you guys are also looking at?
Yes, there are some disparities, and we will be working through various interventions and programs to address that. So perhaps, working with the Ministry of Education to ensure that young men get extra resources or extra help in order to improve their results. Perhaps working with the police force and our community partners to address young persons in the community who may be picked up by gangs or who may have too much idle time on their hands and getting into mischief. Working with the Ministry of Health to raise awareness on some of the unhealthy practices that we may have, including, just as simple as having a more active lifestyle. Sometimes it's the small things that we can do that will have a really big impact. And so, based on all of the data that we have gathered, I'm pretty sure that now that we have a big picture of what we're dealing with, what are the issues that young persons are dealing with, I think that we'll definitely be better able and better positioned to make some very direct and strategic interventions to address those issues. And so the current draft is set for 10 years, which is kind of a standard in policy. And so we want to monitor over the next 10 years, and hopefully in the next 10 years or even sooner, as we do periodic reviews, we will see some improvements in those data, in that data and those statistics, which will prove that we are, doing the best that we can to bring better inclusion and better equality.
Well, I want to thank you both for being here. Thank you so much for joining us. I know every time you guys are here, you're offering opportunities for young people, and it's something I hope that young Bahamians are taking note of and are preparing themselves to take advantage of as well. So thank you very much.
Thank you.
We have more of a closer look at our closing remarks after this.
How did it feel when you first realized that you were nominated for this award? What ran through your mind?
Well, actually, this is the second time I've been nominated. I've been nominated last year, and I was also the previous recipient of the Arts and Culture Award for last year. So this year, really, I was just here for supporting my peers who I've actually had the privilege of working with, and just being able to see their growth and to be able to celebrate with them tonight was really an honor and a pleasure. I'm also supporting my girlfriend as well, who is nominated in the religion and the leadership categories as well.
At the top of tonight's show, I challenged you, our viewing audience, to examine the ways that we as a collective support or fail to support our young people. How are you championing the leaders of the next generation? It's a tough question, but only because the answers can only be found in a multi-pronged approach to the way that we interact with young people at every level of their development. It's going to take all of us standing in the roles of mentors and teachers, all of us advocating for equal opportunities for the youth, all of us working to create spaces for innovation and exploration. Then, and only then, can we guarantee their success. I hope you've enjoyed tonight's episode. I hope you've learned something and heard something that inspires you to inspire the generation to come. Till next time, I'm Aravana Apia. Good night, everyone.